Beyond News, where we take you deeper into issues shaping our world. I'm your host, Njoki Mwangi. For the next 30 minutes of live coverage, we take you beyond the headlines to uncover the truth behind the stories shaping our society and a human-centered look at some of the most pressing challenges facing our youth, our rights, and our democracy.
Is your feed feeding addiction? The dark link between social media and drug culture. Online predators and explicit content. Are your children truly safe online? Peaceful voices silenced. Who is accountable for the disappearances? Is Congo's democracy a real reform or just political theater?
We begin with a story that continues to silently devastate our youth, drug culture, and its increasing normalization through social media platforms like TikTok, WhatsApp, and Instagram. What starts as a trend can quickly become a trap. Our correspondent, Hope Modoni, investigates this growing trend and how online culture fuels real-life addiction.
In today's hyper-connected world, social media's dark side is emerging.
And whatever we are exposed to is what teaches us and it's what we learn from. And the repeated exposure to this drug culture on the internet, it makes it seem acceptable and makes it seem like this is how you should live, and not conforming leads to you missing out.
Platforms meant for connection are now breeding grounds for dangerous culture. Every day, young minds are bombarded with images and messages that normalize, even celebrate drug use. This isn't just about bad influence, it's a calculated spread of harmful content that's reshaping perceptions and pushing vulnerable individuals down a precarious path.
Joined live from the ground, we have Hope Muthoni. Hope, based on your conversation with the psychologist, how do drugs impact the mental health of young people, and why is this a growing concern?
Thank you for that. From the psychologist's perspective, drug abuse among the youth is deeply affecting them, causing anxiety, depression, and even psychosis. The brain is still developing during this adolescence and early adulthood, so substances like marijuana, alcohol, and hard drugs such as these ones can interfere with the emotional regulation and memory and decision making. This is becoming a growing concern because the rising stress levels and among the youth, social pressure, and easy accessibility to drugs, both on the streets and online, many youths are turning to the drugs and using them as coping mechanisms, which only worsen their mental wellness and well-being in the long run.
There's often debate about whether social media plays a role in encouraging drug culture among the youth. So from your findings, how significant is this influence?
Absolutely, the influence is quite significant. The psychologist pointed out that social media platforms often glamorize drug abuse through music, videos, influencers, culture, and various trends. Young people are constantly exposed to content that normalizes or even celebrates the substance use without showing the negative consequences. This constant exposure shapes perspectives and can subtly and nudge youth into experimenting. What is more even alarming is that the use of coded language and emojis that prompt drugs under the radar. So yes, the digital space is playing a huge role in shaping the behavior, often without the youth realizing it. I'm Hope Njoroge with Prime 254. Back to you, Njoki, in studio.
Thank you, Hope. I'm now joined in studio by Dr. Mongera, a specialist in behavioral psychology and addiction. Dr. Mongera, let's get into it. And first of all, introduce yourself, please.
Pleasure. My name is George Mongera. I'm a clinical psychologist at Kenyatta National Hospital, and I am also the end of psychological services in the Department of Mental Health. So my work deals with the providing psychological services to the inpatient and outpatient at Kenyatta National Hospital.
Thank you. I think I'm going to start with the first question. How do websites like TikTok, Instagram, and WhatsApp psychologically condition young people to perceive drug use as acceptable or even desirable?
Mostly you find how they get into drug is through peer pressure. So they're influenced by their colleagues to use either in school or at home. And this peer pressure can be either one-on-one or through media, social media, and other form of social or avenues. So peer pressure is one of the key ways where how they get recruited. And also it is through social media they learn how to use. And again, also social media, they have celebrities and they find the celebs, they are using these drugs. So it becomes an attraction to the adolescent. So that's a kind of how they get into it. So peer pressure is one of the main ways to recruit adolescents into drug abuse.
And what are some of the typical behavioral changes noticed by young people who develop a drug habit due to online influence?
We would maybe discuss or mention briefly how they present. Some of them is because they have problems out of their addiction. Some of them, maybe they have been expelled from school. Others, they have issues in their families, probably separation, divorce. Others have been interdicted from work. And that is why others even have been referred maybe from the apparatus, security apparatus, the police or the court. So that they have problem in terms of functioning. That's how they come to our department.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mongera, and thank you so much again for coming in studio today. We now turn to a story affecting our children and youth in the digital space. The rising threat of online gender-based violence, from cyberbullying to grooming and exploitation. These dangers often go unnoticed until it's too late. Our reporter has more.
The digital frontier, once a realm of endless possibility, has turned into a danger zone for our children. With every click, a new threat emerges. Predators lurking in the shadows, harmful content corrupting young minds, and cyberbullies leaving lasting scars. The very tools meant to empower are now weapons in the hands of those who seek to exploit innocence. This is the grim reality of online safety today.
He was a shoulder to lean on, someone I could trust at any time. I could call if something would happen, and I didn't have an issue with him at all. And with from now when the friendship continued and everything till the point now, I experienced the worst side of him. Everything was okay. He will react to my social media posts just like any other person will react when I post something. He will react, and I felt appreciated. I didn't feel like something is weird about his response because he's not the only person who will react to my post. And with my post, maybe I've gone for a swimming and I will wear a costume. I will post it as a story and as Instagram story, not like a permanent post or anything. We met at his place. He said that he's finishing up with work, then we can leave. Before that, he gave me something to drink before now. When he said we are leaving, but just drink this, then maybe we can eat something different when we go for that date. So after that, after drinking it, sort of, I felt like something wasn't right. I started feeling so sleepy. I started feeling like I'm not making sound judgments about everything. And I would keep on telling him, I don't feel so good. Let me just go home. My stomach will embarrass me, so let me just go home. He said, no, just stay. I can go and get medicine and everything. I'm like, it's okay. So between that point to now where he starts forcing himself onto me, I didn't know what happened. I guess I blacked out or something. And every time I would tell him to stop because I was in so much pain. Someone I could trust at any time. I could call if something would happen. And I didn't have an issue with him at all. And with From now when the friendship continued and everything till the point now, I experienced the worst side of him. Everything was okay. He will react to my social media posts just like any other person will react when I post something. He will react and I felt appreciated. I didn't feel like something is weird about his response because he's not the only person who will react to my post. And with my post, maybe I've gone for a swimming and I'll wear a costume. I'll post it as a story, as Instagram story, not like a permanent post or anything. We met at his place. He said that he's finishing up with work. Then.
And joining me in studio today is Javan Kado, a youth protection advocate. Javan, welcome to this segment. And with your expertise, what are some of the most common forms of online gender-based violence that affect children and the youth today?
Gender-based violence specifically comes in various forms. We have sexual violence, which people speak about, which would refer to rape, trafficking for sex, including even sexual harassment. And then we have physical violence, people being beaten, emotional violence. We have social economic violence. We have harmful cultural practices. FGM is in there. We have honor killings in there as well, child marriage. So all these are forms of violence.
Segment. What can you say about consent, signing of consent? Is it something that could be included in this online areas where people interact and end up being victims of gender-based violence?
There is an element that people tend to forget. And consent, permission, accepting. When we talk about gender-based violence, it is usually something that is done against you. It could be the sexual, it could be physical, it could be anything else. And there's always a power dynamic to it. Now, when we talk about sex specifically, it is one of the most common problems we're having, whether it is youth, and youth are actually coerced into having sex. In campuses, we have sex for grades. It is a thing that is a problem, and the Campus Me Too movement is actually trying to combat that. But when we talk about consensual sex or consensual relations, we need to remember something very important. Consent must have three very important ingredients. It must be affirmative, it must be voluntary, it must be continuous.
Thank you, Javan. You are watching Beyond News, and we've just covered critical insights on drug culture and child safety in the digital age. We are just getting started. Coming up next, we head to the Democratic Republic of Congo to examine its democratic path and dive into the state of human rights right here at home. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Introducing the new Den Dairy Blueberry Flavored Yogurt, filled with blueberries for that extra crunch. Now in a new portable and securely sealed cup, with an improved design that fits perfectly into your lifestyle. Enjoy the thick, creamy, smooth, and crunchy Den Dairy Yogurt, made the traditional way using 100% farm fresh milk. Make every day a Den Dairy day. Den Dairy, filled with goodness.
Now to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where democracy remains under pressure despite recent electoral reforms. Questions linger about governance, military influence, and the nation's fragile peace. Our reporter has more.
Democracy, a word that echoes with the promise of representation and equality. But is that promise being fulfilled, or is it merely a performance?
M23 is a rebel group that has come from the eastern side, the whole part of Rwanda moving towards. So it all began during the genocide of the genocide in Rwanda, where most of the Rwandese moved into Congo on the eastern side. They intermarried. A whole new group was formed, and so that has been the root cause.
Nations stand at crossroads, grappling with questions of legitimacy, transparency, and the true voice of the people. The very essence of self-governance is being tested.
They want to identify themselves as Congolese, and they believe that that eastern part of Congo belongs to them.
Congo is just an example of a nation that is going through war because of lack of democratic agreements, creating a loophole for the M23's involvement of the nation. Is Congo the only nation at risk? Reporting from Nairobi, I'm Hope Njoroge.
And in studio today we have Dr. Wambulwa, an expert in African politics. Could you please introduce yourself, Papa?
Okay, my name is David Wambulwa. I am a scholar. I am a lecturer at Daystar University, the School of Arts and Social Sciences. I also research on national security at National Defense College.
Thank you. And we can begin with the first question. Do you believe the DRC is truly on a democratic path, or are we seeing a manipulated political process masked as reform?
How do we democratize global governance? Why? Because this global governance was entrenched in the international system after the Second World War. And the victors of that war have dominated the international system for quite some time. And the institutions of global governance, it is them who have dominated. But some people argue that why should you still have a global governance system that was instituted mid-20th century when we are well into the 21st century. We now have a multiplicity of actors. The power structure, the polarity in the international system has changed. We now have different states which are powerful, which are outside the decision-making realm of the Security Council. And we have very many issues that require more consensus than there is provided for in the Security Council.
And what is the future of democracy in Congo, given its history of coups and conflict?
What should be done to address the conflict? I would say what should be done is let this conflict be de-escalated by having those vested interests in the conflict to be clearly known and addressed by the United Nations. It is a common fact that the DRC conflict has been fueled by resources. And without addressing the ability of the DRC government to manage the resources within the DRC, then the conflict will still continue as it is. So empowering the Congolese government to widely reach the entire country will be something that must be done. And if you want to empower the government, then it is your responsibility to ensure that you equip this government, provide the training that is needed in SSR, security sector reform, provide adequate training to ensure that it has the ability to reach the entire government, the entire territory, but ensure that infrastructure-wise, that is actually addressed, because most of the eastern part of the DRC, it suffers from neglect because it is impassable. So when you do that, it will actually ensure that it has the capability of providing security, providing development, and ensuring that all people within the DRC actually see the government working and it is able to provide whatever is needed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wambulwa, and we appreciate so much of the time that you have spent here in studio with us today. We end our deep dive today with a focus on human rights violations, particularly in the suppression of protest and the continued use of force by the state authorities. Our reporter has more.
Voices meant to be heard, silenced. Peaceful gatherings met with force. In a chilling turn of events, the right to protest, a cornerstone of democracy, is under siege. People are vanishing, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and shattered lives.
One of the beautiful things about the ended protest that was in July and August, I saw a group of young men who had vigor and passion in protecting their country. And by doing so, they came out to exercise their constitutional right, which was picketing. And through picketing, they were able to come out in large numbers to protest against the government of President Ruto. And the reason for the protest, it's because of harsh economic conditions that had been subjected to us by this regime.
Joining us now is a representative from IMLU, a lawyer and an advocate of the human rights. Emmanuel, what are some of the pressing human rights violations in Kenya today?
Yes, currently, I mean, of course, coming from the Gen Z protest, I would say the pressing are the torture and the related violations, ones I've just mentioned. So when I talk about torture, is either people have been, either somebody has been shot or beaten up by the police, I mean, in the course of protest. And I talk about enforced disappearance. These people have been picked up and we don't know where they are. So that's enforced disappearance. And then the extrajudicial killing, I mean, those who have been killed have been without following the due process of law. So I would say those are the current pressing issues affecting the country. We all know the issue of enforced disappearance has been very common, actually. A few months, I mean, people being picked and we don't know where they are. They are found dead, and then so I'll say those are the pressing legal issues. Of course, there's the issue of the femicide, which the Women Human Rights Organization have talked about. I think it's also something I'll say is of concern currently.
And how effective are Kenya's legal systems in holding violators accountable?
Yes, I'll say our courts. Of course, there are few challenges that have been pointed out by some advocates, but generally, I'll say our courts are doing a good job in terms of being independent and impartial. Even if you talk about the Gen Z protests, there are a lot of decisions that we will say, you can look and say, this is a court that is, you can say this is justice. For example, when they say that the police officers should identify themselves, during protests, that's the decision that was rendered. So there are a lot of progressive decisions that the judges have offered. Of course, there are few challenges. There are few challenges with a number of judges here and there, but generally, I'll say, for me, our judiciary is independent as envisioned under the Constitution. From my experience, there are cases we have taken to court for survivors and they have gotten justice, and we have just used the normal channel. We did not bribe anyone, and we can say justice has been done. So for me, I'll say our judiciary is doing a good job. Of course, there is room for improvement, and of course, the bad apples need to be dealt with.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Yegon, and we appreciate of the time that you've spent here. Thank you to all our analysts, correspondents, and you, our viewer, for staying with us. Let's continue with these important conversations beyond today. Keep the dialogue going using the hashtag Beyond News, and remember to tag at gracemercymwangi.com so that we can see your comments. Until next time, I'm Joki Mwangi. Stay aware and stay empowered.